We are back for episode 94 of the Auld Triangle podcast. As always, Andy Stevenson, Caoilte Barra joining me, Eoin Omiel, to talk about all the latest Irish mixed martial arts news. We left you waiting a little bit longer since the last episode, and that means we have a metric ton of Irish mixed martial arts to talk about, and we got to start straight away. Well, no, I actually, one of my work colleagues said that they listen to this podcast and they haven't a clue what we're talking about most of the time, but they enjoy it.
Which episode? Which episode they listen to?
They said that I really enjoyed the banter at the start, so we'd have to maybe give.
Now, is this someone who's like, is it a cool work colleague or like? No, but hang on, this
HR.
Hang on, yeah, HR. Is this HR?
Not HR.
You said
not
some
HR. Very, and yeah,
I'm carefully choosing. My words.
No, it was a good compliment. And enjoying the banter. So I said, let's bring back the banter, boys. Let's bring it back. Any crack with yous, no? Andy?
No. Any crack with me? What have I been up to? I've been doing a lot of... Listen, I've been wheeling and dealing lately.
Wheeling and dealing. Big Money Stevenson. Is that what we're calling you now?
A lot of job stuff going
on
at the moment. I've been having to be a real human being and an adult. And it's not very... it doesn't come in my nature, so I haven't been doing a whole lot.
Yeah, that's fair. And yourself, Chris?
You were like, I mean, you go ahead.
Go on, Andy.
No, I was going to say, you're looking very non-Halloweeny today. I saw, I mean, if for anyone who hasn't seen the SevereMMA podcast, go over and check it out, because Eoin and Sean were decked to the nines. Here we go. Liam O'Neill.
I'm not
definitely
doing
me.
That's
actually
if
you ever had in the podcast.
I can't. I can't do another podcast like this. But I perfectly balanced the tambourine on my head for most of the podcast. I had to take it off for maybe 5 or 10 minutes because it does take an extreme level of concentration, and I have to host this show, so it's definitely not going to work today. But good crack over there. On the big what did you go trick or treating? Did you dress up for Halloween? No.
I did not. No, I did not. I watched Hocus Pocus. Great movie. Phenomenal.
Very good. Very good.
Ate loads of sweets, and I went for a little walk. Saw some trick or treaters. See where I live here. We're on the 5th floor, so you can see all the fireworks. So we basically just sat inside like 2 old people and just watched a movie. Ate loads of sweets and saw some fireworks from our window.
Love it.
What did you get up to? Did you do any Halloween parties?
Well, no, I didn't have any Halloween parties. I was actually kind of kept it chill and watched. I was big into the baseball now over the last couple of days. The World Series was on. Jays stuff from we're playing there.
Shohei.
Yeah, Shohei Ohtani was on fire. So that's what I did. We had about 50 trick-or-treaters. We got a shit ton of candy. And I sound real Canadian when saying candy now. I should say sweets. We're on the Irish podcast.
Load of sweets.
Loads of sweets. And then, I mean, we got way too many sweets, but I'm not too disappointed about that because I'm probably just going to chow down on the rest of the sweets that we have left now as well. Good selection too. Caoilte, what did you get up into any trouble in light any bonfires or let off any fireworks or anything down in Limerick? Absolute mayhem going on outside in Limerick today, outside your window.
That's just every single day in Limerick.
Yeah, it's just another day in Limerick.
Fireworks going off.
There was actually, during the interview, a few fireworks going off. I could see at the corner of my eye. But no, there's fireworks everywhere. I left work on Friday to come home. And there was basically a full display. I just stopped and watched it. I was like, you know what? That was a nice way to end work. But no, nothing exciting. Similar to Andy, I felt maybe a bit old just sitting there watching. Didn't even watch a horror, watched the parody horror of The Haunted House and took it a bit easy. Had a bit of a wild weekend away in London. So or away in the UK. So I took it nice and handy and recovered after losing my voice to Burnley's last-minute winner against Wolves. So, absolutely, that was absolute scenes, and it's been very relaxed ever since. Until next week.
You were brawling. You're probably in a few football hooligan fights, were you?
Oh, Jesus, now, Andy, we can't be saying that in this.
Green Street Elite.
First rule about Fight Club is you can't talk about Fight Club. Isn't that right, Caoilte?
Do you know what? I tempt fate very badly. My dad gives me off a stick for it. I walk around into away grounds. I'll do it next week in London. We're going for West Ham away. Wherever I go, I wear colours, and it's kind of a away fans thing is don't really wear colours if you're going into pubs with all the home fans. And I'd be like, be grand. The Irish accent kind of saves me. And I'll put it on like fuck as well if someone says something. So I'll just walk around full Burnley jersey, and I'll even have a jacket on top of it. I'll match the Burnley colours, and I'll rock into the home pub and I'll just chat away to people.
Where are you? Are you going there next week as well?
West Ham away next weekend, which is a little bit more. Danny Dyer.
Let's be having you, mate. Let's be having you.
They're making a new green. Know that?
That's why I'm going over. We're filming that on Sunday or Saturday, right before the game, and then we'll go to the game, and hopefully we get in.
Love it. Well, hopefully we'll be talking about a lot of fun fights on the upcoming Cage Warriors 200 card that has been announced for Dublin since the last time that we have been on as well. And I mean, I'm so glad that Dublin was the place that they chose. And in certain ways it had to be. Obviously, Cage Warriors and Dublin shows are steeped in history, lots of great fights. And obviously we talked to Solomon Simon a little bit later on. He has a couple of hurdles to get to, but him and many other Irish fighters, I would assume, would have aspirations to fight on that card. And with it being the 200 installment of Cage Warriors, you would be expecting a pretty big show. I think it's been announced as a venue. It's just the RDS, isn't that right?
It is the RDS, yeah.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I don't mind it. I think that's a good choice. I think, you lads were saying that last time in terms of the venue, they've really found their own in the RDS and kind of, structured in a kind of fan-friendly way and in a media-friendly way too. So are you disappointed that maybe we didn't get the 3 Arena for this, or did you think that they made the right move, Andy, I guess, to stick it in the RDS?
I don't think that they made the wrong move by not going 3 Arena. Like, you can kind of look at it a few different ways. Like I wouldn't have minded them trying something else just because it's the 200th event, just to kind of differentiate it to some degree. And I even like I don't, this is me kind of pie in the sky stuff, but I'm like, could you even go back to the Helix or something, even if it was something smaller, where just if you're kind of marking this big occasion as like giving back to the Irish and to throw it back to those nights that I'll pretend that I was there for in the Helix in the heydays of the Rise. But look, I think the RDS is a good spot for it. I'd be interested to see. I don't think they could have done, and I don't think anyone except maybe UFC right now could do. Certainly not the full 3 Arena. I think it's very, very difficult to sell tickets in Ireland at the moment for MMA shows. So maybe you could do like a restricted 3 Arena like they did when Rhys McKee fought Jimmy Wallhead. That could have been an option, but again, like it's probably very expensive to rent that out. I'd like to see them maybe go back to the bigger area in the RDS. So there's a couple of different halls. Maybe they could do the bigger one. And I love that what they did with the tiered seating. I thought that was brilliant this time around. I feel like even, obviously from the fan perspective of being able to see the fights, but additionally, I felt like it added to the atmosphere because it was kind of like, I don't know if you felt like this, Chris, you were kind of in the crowd. It just felt like there was more of an atmosphere maybe as a result of the way that kind of the fans were dispersed around the crowd and stuff like that.
Yeah, the way they had them the way the tickets were, where they like every fighter got a section, and when that fighter was fighting you, that section would kind of pop up, and there was fans kind of dotted around everywhere as well that would cheer away for every fight. But the way it was done was, I thought it was kind of exceptionally done the last time, and it really helped, especially with the placement of the fights of the card. Actually, I think really benefited from how the fans were positioned in the arena too. Yeah,
and the ticket demands were there too. Like I think it sold out a couple of weeks before as well. And obviously, when I mentioned the 3 Arena, I definitely don't think they would be in a kind of a scenario to fill out the full 3 Arena. Maybe the half full arena there. But like you said, Andy, I think probably the more cost effective move is to the RDS, and it'll be interesting to see. Like obviously, the venue is wanting the possibility of who could be fighting, who could be main event, and I think we've been talking about especially after the last Cage Warrior show, Andy, a lot of prospects and Irish prospects in being in prominent positions to, be fighting for a title. Obviously, Simon, who we speak to on this podcast, is right in line. He's fighting for a title this weekend. We have a couple of welterweight contenders as well in Leon Hill, James Sheehan. Amongst others, we have Omar Tugarev is obviously a champion right now as well. So there's lots of choices here that could be. What would you like to see, and what do you think would be? I think there has to be. I'm going to say it first before I bring it over. I think at least 3 title fights, at least.
I agree with you more. Yeah.
Yeah. I fuck it. Even if you did a full main card full of title fights, that'd be something.
It's like it's the 200th event, so like so where my head's at is right. Like the last number of Irish shows, and this is, I'll caveat this at the very start. Ireland needs Cage Warriors very badly at the moment because there's no other big shows or really, any shows happening, at least in Dublin right now. I know there's Elite and Fires Fighting Championship, and there's a few others popping up in Cork, which is brilliant to see, but there's nothing in Dublin at the moment. So Cage Warriors coming to Dublin is so important for the Irish scene, and I can't stress that enough. The last number of shows that they've done, it's been very clear that in order to sell tickets, they've been stacking it with Irish fighters, obviously to provide Irish fighters opportunities as well. So, we're kind of getting what we wanted. We're saying we want Irish fights and all that, and it's flooded with Irish talent. I think for Cage Warriors 200, what I would like to see is that also, but with a blend of the best fighters that Cage Warriors have to offer fighting on this card. I think it needs to be a huge celebration of Cage Warriors. As you said, a number of title fights. I would expect to see Paddy McCarry coming back from Tough and Contender Series, and now coming back to Cage Warriors fighting for the middleweight belt against, and I all the time I do this on this podcast is I forget the name, the Italian champion whose name is
Dario Belandi.
I think we'll see that. I think I would expect to see, depending on how results go this month, you've got Omar Tugarev, obviously a champion currently. You have Solomon Simon fighting for a belt. Let's say whatever happens with that, and we'll hear from Solomon later on, you've got that Nik Bagley fight that's just waiting there. Like if you could bring that to Dublin, and then you have
that's a main event fight if you ask me.
Yeah, that'd be absolute cracker. And then we've a bunch of other ones too, where let's see how certain results go over the next while. I know we could probably get into. I have some strong thoughts on one particular topic around that welterweight title.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of matchups there that could go down, which I like. I think that division right now is probably the best Cage Warriors have, as far as the depth of talent and tenured fighters within the promotion. So there's loads of fights, and then obviously you've got every single Irish fighter in the country is going to be lining up, and every fighter in the roster is going to be wanting to be on this card because it's a big momentous occasion for the promotion. So yeah, absolutely stack it with the best fights you can get.
Caoilte, I'm sure you're in the same boat. Is there anything or anyone that you'd like to see on that card?
Oof, great question. There's probably some fights that I'd like to see, but I think it depends. Some of them would depend on how other situations play out over the next few months. Because obviously, like that George Staines and Harris fight, for example, I was like, I'd love to see the winner fight Conor McCarthy, for example. Matchups like that really intrigue me. There's stuff like that I really want them to stack it, make it competitive, make it just one of the best Cage Warriors cards in history. The 3 title fights I completely agree with. I was in the same boat coming into this thinking, 3 title fights to top it off. Then the one addition, and I think, to be honest, I'm being a bit of a dreamer here, but I would absolutely love if there was like a big surprise fight of just one, I guess, do you want to call him one of the old school Irish MMA lads, hop on the card for one last hurrah in Cage Warriors 200 in Dublin. I'd love something like that. Maybe, like I said, I think
Redzer goes from commentating the one fight into fighting the next.
He just rips off.
Yeah, he rips off his shirt.
Oh my god! And gets into the cage.
It's Paul Redmond's music.
But I'd love like one of the OGs or someone who's been around for one of the legends to kind of have a scrap, one last hurrah type of thing. But I think like I said, I'm being a bit of a dreamer. I think if it was the 3 arena, that would definitely be a possibility because I think it'd be more financially viable from ticket sales to be able to pay someone more to have them on the card. Or yes, I'm not too sure. But like I said, bit of a dreamer, but I'd love it.
Yeah, nothing wrong with a bit of dreaming anyway. But yeah, I think, basically what you guys said, I feel the same. I think there's there's kind of the menu is there to have those big title fights, but also like kind of, you know, big fights for the likes of Max Lally, Conor McCarthy, Keiko, all of those up and comers as well. And I mean, Jesus, everyone will be jumping on the bit to get on a card like that and be excited for it. Not too far away either. That's look, November now, December, January, you know, only 3 months away. So that's going to be a massive.
It lines it up nicely as well because like they're like the schedule sometimes just doesn't work out for like whether it's individual fighters, whether it's injuries, whether it's whatever. But you've got a couple of events coming up now in November. You've got the one on in December, then that's it till February. So like there's a big gap between Cage Warriors 199 and Cage Warriors 200. So that allows for, you know, fighters to get healthy, fighters to be just itching to get in there because they won't have fought for a number of months. And so yeah, I think there'll be great demand from the fighter side to get on that. But yeah, I definitely think just stack it as much as you can. You know, I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, how many Ireland versus Ireland fights do you think they can get on it?
I think you could probably get 4.
Yeah, I think so. Might be sweet spot of 4 or 5. I think that would really
get 4 on the prelims or something like that, maybe.
I think after Damien McKenna and Keith Keogh fight and the atmosphere around it, I think, you know what, you'd love that for a few fights in a row because Jesus, yeah, really exactly,
something with a bit of spice to it.
Yeah, exactly. Make it adds a bit more meaning to it than it already has. But that's the other one that I had in my head.
I've wanted this fight for a long time now. Ever since I watched them cornering in SPG at I think it was the Nationals. I'd love to see Decky McAleenan versus Lee Hammond in a scrap. That's the one that I'd like.
That one.
That's what I'm just going to stir the pot there now a bit. That's the fight I'd like to see.
I would like to see that too, definitely. But anyway, look, we said we wanted to open up at that chat. It's big news for the Irish scene, and hopefully, like, you know, that card is in February. Hopefully, we get a summer card. Hopefully, we get one in around September again. If we got 3 Cage Warriors cards in Ireland, like Andy said, I agree with 100%. I think, you know, Irish mixed martial arts needs the shows in Dublin and down in the south of the country as well. But yeah, we must start talking about some action here. We got to go way back a couple of weeks here. And we have a shit ton of sites to talk about here. So we're going to try and blast through as much as we can. We're going to start off a cage conflict, Andy. And obviously it was the long-awaited pro debut of Damien McGuigan, who took on Giacomo Sansanelli. And, you know, expectations were high for Damien's debut in the pro ranks, and he definitely didn't disappoint. He was not going out there to get paid by the hour, got the job done via first round TKO in 30 seconds, landed a couple of ferocious shots, nice kicks, and really did a good job in getting the win.
Yeah, 100%. He looked fantastic. He just looked great, and it was reminiscent of Paul Hughes in Belfast, where basically the first shot that he treated out. Now they traded some kicks and stuff, but the first punch that he landed, it did all the damage. He absolutely swarmed his opponent, who kind of was being chased around the ring with about 15 punches being landed on him, falls on his back, and then the speed and ferociousness with which Damien displayed there was very impressive. Textbook stoppage from referee Aaron Wallace. Good stoppage there in the fight. And yeah, like, it was a very quick fight, but he just blew the doors off him, really. And, you know, we had seen Damien take 11 months out, I think it was, or in and around 11 months out. And that was, you know, they had told us this was tactical to prep him for going to pro, and by God, he
fought like a guy that was out of the cage for a long time.
Yeah, he wasted no time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So look, I mean, like, I think as Paul Brown put it on, or one of the lads, I don't know if it was Paul or Joe or the lads on commentary, but they were saying, like, he will face tougher tests along the way, but for a professional debut, phenomenal stuff for Damien McGuigan, and we expected nothing less.
100%. In the lightweight division, Caoilte McDonald defeated Mario Delido. Another quick one here. Relatively one-way traffic in this one for McDonald. Moves to 2-4 now. Needed that win. And got it done with relative ease here. His opponent didn't put up too much of a challenge, to be fair.
Yeah, he smashed him. Completely smashed him. Got the takedown. It wasn't really defense. There wasn't really much defense, and the opponent just started raining down shots, and that was it really at that point. But good for him to get back in the win column. I'm not sure I imagine he probably would have liked a bit more time, a bit more competition from the opponent. But it wasn't what he got. But what he did get was the win, and that's the most important thing for him in this situation. And yeah, onwards to the next one.
Big time. Andy, I know you were very impressed by the win that Kieran Maskey accumulated for the amateur super lightweight title, where he beat Rush George via first round TKO. Lots of stoppages at the top of the bill here now, and this one was a massive performance here. And now Maskey's now 8-0 as an amateur and looking really, really good, looking like a real hot prospect right now as well. And this was a tremendous performance against a tough opponent as well.
100%. He looked brilliant. They both kind of exchanged some low kicks, but it seemed like Maskey was doing the more damaging shots. He looked like he could kind of hurt George with one of the low kicks early. And then I thought it was just brilliant. The shot that put him down was phenomenal because he was actually moving backwards as he threw it. So like he wasn't even like his feet weren't even properly planted, I would say. So to be able to generate that kind of power, put George down, who's a solid fighter, as you're on, moving backwards is very, very impressive stuff. And as you said, 8-0, like this, I think Kieran Maskey he's probably someone who, like, he's really good to watch every time he fights, but we probably haven't been like earmarking him yet as like, okay, this is someone who we really need to look out for as one of the standout amateurs. And I think that performance right there has absolutely cemented him as, that type of label where it's like, not a lot of people go you don't go 8 fights unbeaten in your career, period. So to do that right out the gate, as you're learning your craft, and he seems to be getting better and better each time. So, and once you start putting guys away like that at amateur, it bodes well for the future. So, great to see, obviously coming out of ZKJ under Danny Core and the lads up there. So really impressive performance. And there was a load of other, brilliant performances on the card. I don't think we can go through the metric ton of fights, but just to highlight as well, Omar Oliver, I think it's his third win of the cage. I think he's his second successful title defense of the bantamweight title at amateur there in cage conflict, and he's won maybe 5 or 6 title fights in a row. He took out Rory Burke in the first round TKO. Again, Omar Oliver won, everything I've just said there. Omar Oliver is like the guy that all the lads in FAI are kind of shouting about at the moment, coming from Derry as well. If you speak to any of the lads up there, they'll draw parallels to Paul Hughes and talk about his kind of work ethic, that he's there from opening till closing in the gym and this type of stuff, and the performance are absolutely showing.
That's what they're
showing it.
Yeah, they're showing it. Good stuff. I know you were impressed with Michael Shields as well, Caoilte, and his win over Gerard Ryan. Took a home unanimous decision win for the amateur flyweight title. Yeah,
look, he's top. He's been a top prospect that we've been looking at for quite a while now, and he really, he showcased that once again to win the title. Some amazing striking from him. Gerard Ryan, as we know, is just he's always so good to watch, and these fights are always absolute crackers. And this was one of those once again. Gerard gave him a good fight. He took a round, but Michael Shields he just looks incredible. I imagine he could end up going pro in the next year, I imagine. But still, good. It was a good fight and great performance. It was close, but yeah.
Could have been. Now, and I'll throw this caveat out there, Gerard, Team Andy. But I will say, there's an argument, I think, to be made for a 10-8 in the third round from Ryan. Very, very close to a stoppage. It looked like it was about to be stopped at one point. A lot of damage there. I thought Michael Shields looked absolutely phenomenal. I thought there was a clear striking advantage towards him on the feet. And I would have given him that first round, but definitely I think I would have gone Shields first 2 rounds. But I think there is an argument. I don't think it's like, it's definitely a 10-8. But it was borderline, and you don't see that often in amateur. So
that's what I was going to say. That you don't really see that too much in amateur, all that much. I don't know whether it's because it's just the 3-minute rounds or whatever.
Yeah,
the judges. I mean, I'd be interested to maybe ask the question. I don't know. A 10-8 round is a 10-8 round, no matter what maybe the duration of the fight is. But I think you're looking for that kind of dominance over a prolonged period of time. Is 3 minutes enough? But 3 minutes should be enough if that's the time of the round, I guess. But you don't see him too much in amateur mixed martial arts. To be interested to see is it viewed differently from a judging perspective because it is amateur and maybe a lack of want to do 10-8. But it's a fair statement, Andy. Even though He is a Stevenson member, but no, we'll have to take that one with a pinch of salt.
The commission of Team Stevenson has adjudicated that this was a draw.
It was a
They must
10-7.
rematch.
It was a 10-7 in round 3. Let's talk about Craig McGrattan. We'll move on to the pro ranks here. Picked up a very, very good win in round 1 over Ville Mäkinen over in Finland. And it was a gritty, grinding, typical Craig McGrattan performance, Andy. He wore down his opponent over the duration of the round and got the TKO win via ground and pound with just 5 seconds left. And yeah, I was impressed. I mean, he was huge in comparison to his opponent, and he really bullied him in there as well. Used that size to his advantage.
He really reminds me of Carl Brendred. I know he fights at a Team KF, but he really, really reminds me of Brendred. I thought he looked great. It was some mad scrambles in the fight where at one point he was in this like reverse crucifix position, but Mäkinen had like stood up, so he was like on the back, kind of like in a crucifix position, while just in the air. It was a bit mad, but he looked phenomenal. I thought he
was going to get like a flying owl triangle. I was like, we could have our owl triangle choke winner, year winner right here if he's able to lock this one in, but no, it didn't happen in the end.
Yeah, the uppercuts were lovely. I thought when he towards kind of the end or closer towards the end of the round, when he started putting the work on him up against the cage and he backing him up, I thought he was ripping to the body. Lovely.
He's so good in that position, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
He
just like impactful, damaging shots, like finding the openings.
Like dirty boxing and just utilizing, being very attack minded in the clinch and just broke down. He's like kind of chopping a tree and just broke his opponent. And there was a lovely, I think it was a right hook that he caught him with, to kind of sit him down. It was a lovely, sweet one. It was actually, he got hit with one at the same time. It was kind of like, what's that fight? Dan Hardy versus Rory Markham when they both kind of landed. No, it wasn't. That's Carlos Condit versus Dan Hardy when they both landed the hooks at the same time. But it was Condit that decked Hardy. But McGrattan got the job done.
He did a nice job. He kind of slipped out of the way a little bit just to take a bit of the force off it. But great stuff. Great stuff. He was kind of lost for words in the interview. He seems like a very just humble, no nonsense kind of guy. Keith Peterson shouldn't have that. It should be no nonsense Craig McGrattan.
McGrattan, we do like giving out nicknames here on the Old Triangle. That's one that could stick with you. I'm sure you were just as impressed with the performance there from Craig.
Yeah, I just thought it was so composed. Like, despite there's obviously a few scrambles, but the way we got to see all aspects of his game, and the way he handled the striking very early on. So like early on, he was able to kind of establish that dominance in the feet, and he had his opponent just guessing constantly. He was mixing up the strikes so nicely. That oblique kick came out of it. I think everyone was nearly a bit surprised. A bit outside of his team were probably surprised at the oblique kick because he was mixing things up, throwing flying knees, the oblique kick. He had an elbow that missed at one point as well. And then when he got up into his face, he was still just like, he was still just chipping away at him. You mentioned that right hook that was absolute money as well, and it's a really big win against a experienced guy, and it'll stand to him massively. Like the confidence that he'll get from that, and just the performance they put on, it'll stand to him. And I was looking at it. I think he's the because he was brought in as the away fighter here, right? He was the only away fighter to upset the apple cart on that card and defeat the hometown guy. The hometown guy. So. Fair play.
That seems to be in a habit for Team KF this year. They like going over there and getting those, like being the outsider on these kind of European cards too, which is I think is a great experience for some fighters too, going in behind enemy lines, and it adds a different kind of maybe mental perspective as to maybe in comparison where we were talking Irish fighters fighting in Dublin on Cage Warriors cards or anything like that. So it's an interesting, and we've seen it time and time again this year from Team KF with other fighters as well. And I have to give a great shout out to Craig. Looks like a really, really good prospect there now coming into the professional ranks, and he's not going to be too easy to beat no matter who he faces off against. So excited to see what happens with his next one. I was also very excited, Andy, to see Pedro Carvalho snap a 4-fight win streak. I know he's been through a tough run of it. in recent times, but it was great to see him get back to winning ways. And once again, another first round finish here, another rear naked choke win to take the featherweight title over at WNC in Switzerland. And fair play to Pedro, good guy, fantastic representative of mixed martial arts, and has represented SPG for many years too, very well.
Yeah, this is one of those feel good wins. Like, you obviously cover people down the middle and all that, but like it just feels good to see someone win. And he, as you said, he snapped a 4-fight losing streak. And like when you look at his last 4 losses, they were against Jeremy Kennedy, Aaron Pico, Brendan Loughnane, and Kai Kamaka III. So like he has been fighting. He kind of came in, like obviously he'd been trained in Portugal, came over to Ireland, rose up in Cage Legacy, and then very quickly just got thrown in the deep end. Found himself in a very kind of quick path to the title shot against Pitbull, and then from there it was just fighting killer after killer after killer. And he will always be one of the favorite stories in Irish MMA. Just like I've interviewed him a number of times, and like he's talked to us before about how he landed in, got off the bus just outside the 3 Arena. He ended up like cleaning toilets in Tala Hospital, like just doing the hard things while he has a family over in Portugal, and then to be competing in the 3 Arena a number of years later. And obviously he's had some hardship in his career with the results the last while, but to go in here against a guy in Damien Lapidus, who is a former BAMA champion, and to take him out in the first round to win the title, that's got to feel incredible for Pedro, and I'm delighted for him, to be honest with you. So it was good. It was one of those times where, like, do you know what? It's nice to see something good happen for a fighter like that, especially when the last 2 years have just been a bit shit when it comes to the results that you're having to deal with. So delighted to see that for Pedro.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely echo those sentiments as well. Coming back from adversity is something that Pedro does well. Coming back from adversity is something that Nauris Bartoska had to do in his fight as well, Caoilte. I mean, he was in a very competitive fight there. Probably was down in the late stages of the first round, but absolutely unleashed an elbow from hell over on that Brave CF 99 card. He was taking on Jakub Drodowski, finished the fight with that elbow. It was a first round TKO doctor stoppage, opened up a humongous cut over the right eye. I had to turn around there to remember, like, kind of say, I think it was over the right eye. He came right across with that elbow. He's been doing a lot of work out in Thailand, and I mean, that was, you're a Muay Thai connoisseur yourself. I'm sure you were drooling at them out when you saw that kind of technique and that ferocity that he landed in the elbow. It was a beautiful elbow. Like, it's a thing of beauty. That's how I think when I see
love those stories too. Do you know this? Do you know, and like the lad, he's down. He's down nearly out by the fight's nearly getting stopped. Or looks like it's going that way. There's seconds on the clock, and he just rips this insane elbow. Like, that is straight from like a thigh gym somewhere where he's just posted and just hammering elbows in. Like, unbelievable. And the cut was horrifying cut. Like, I'd love to know the amount of stitches he had to get, because he threw it with intent. And like, regardless of how the rest of the fight was going, he threw that elbow with the intent of finishing the fight. And regardless of how it was finished, it's still a win, and you can't take that away from it. It was absolutely incredible. And pull that one back really from defeat, from almost
the
defeat.
Jaws of defeat.
Thank you. I was lost for words there. I was like, shit, my brain's not working.
That's all good. No worries.
There we go. And just to come back like that, finish it in the last few seconds, and in that manner, just unbelievable. It's a highlight reel one, those elbows. You don't see him that ferocious anymore, as much anymore.
No, you definitely don't. And it was a beautiful technique, distance, everything was just wonderful there. Moving over to AFC, we had the Sheriff, Owen Sheridan, Andy fighting on that card against Felipe Maya. And he doesn't just go and knock people out, does Owen Sheridan. He has a submission in the old locker as well, and that's what he locked in here in the first round over in Spain, getting the tap via rear naked choke in the very first round. And some good grappling exchanges in this first round, and obviously I think he navigated them very well. Found a position on the back, saw in on the choke, and got it done quite nicely.
Yeah, I think this was a really good test for him, to be honest with you. I believe Maya's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Cheryl comes from a kickboxing background, very much a striking style. We've seen him, obviously, that fight up in Belfast, the knockout that he had, really, really impressive stuff. But it's interesting to see him, get tested on the mat, and he got taken down a number of times. He jumped his own guillotine in typical Franz Malambo SPG fashion, hunted for the guillotine. Rolled into a mounted guillotine at one point, but I thought he did a really good job here of defending Maya's advances. Obviously, it's probably, I'm no grappling expert, but given Sheridan's frame, it can be brilliant to your advantage, but also to your disadvantage at times as well when you're trying to defend, and when you have a shorter opponent who's got maybe a lower center of gravity and can has you up against the cage, can kind of get the takedowns maybe a little bit easier. But I thought he did a great job here, and he had a lovely. His grappling defense I thought was really good, because it seemed that Maya was just going for every submission under the sun, whether it be arm bars, guillotines, everything.
I think he's scrambling
to a knee bar at one point.
Yeah, he's scrambling. I thought was very good in this. Especially with a tricky opponent like Maya, was kind of trying to set those traps as well. I don't think that Gerard, he didn't buy into any of those at all. It was good.
Yeah, and just punishing him when he needed to.
Yeah, exactly. Wore Maya out by. It was good defensive grappling, but also landing some damage as well. So
he'd find himself in the stack position a lot of the time, and then he could just start raining down shots, which is really kind of what led to him getting the finishes. He got to that back position, landed a bunch of shots, and then just very clinically just took the neck and didn't even need the hooks in. No hooks, rear naked choke, job done. He was visibly, you could see he was very tired at the end, which is a good thing, I think. To be, in a fight where it's pretty much all grappling, there wasn't a whole lot of striking there really at all. So it's good experience for him, I think.
100%.
What was he, 4-0 now or something? Is he?
Yeah, I think he's 4-0 now. 3-0, 4-0.
4-0, yeah.
4-0 now. Yeah, good. I'd like to. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I know he was with PFL for a fight. It'd be nice to see him coming back maybe and getting an opportunity there next year. Maybe you could throw him into a tournament or something like that. It'd be interesting. But good win. I remember Caoilte, me and you were talking to him at Cage Legacy. I think it was 23, and he was chomping at the bit, couldn't get a fight. So it's nice that he's got a couple of spins around this year, and hopefully that momentum will continue. Maybe try and get one more before the year is out, or maybe into early next year as well. I think that was a good time just to take a little bit of a break. We'll come back and talk about a couple of other fights that have happened, a couple of fights that are happening, after this podcast. But we're obviously going to be joined by Solomon Simon, who's fighting for the featherweight world title this Saturday night on Cage Warriors. I think, at the time we're talking to Sol here, a lot of things are still up in the air. We touch a little bit about his current situation. Obviously that may have changed since the podcast has come out, but we talked to Sol about what's been an up and down last couple of months for him, a fight pullouts, but a very, very exciting night ahead for him and his chance to win the Cage Warriors featherweight title. Let's head on over here and see what Sol had to say about that fight.
We're joined by the man of the hour, the undefeated featherweight prospects contender, title contender, Solomon King Simon has joined the show, and he finally has got his title shot. I mean, I feel like we've been, there was the main of it's been a whole roller coaster for you the last, I would say, couple of months, Solomon. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm good. Counting blessings, there's good to everything. There's good in everything, should I say. So all good is it's, you said yourself, there's been a lot of ups and downs and whatnot. The last one, I was looking forward to that in Dublin. Even I showed up in Dublin, and the setup was unbelievable. But it was still a great night of fights. And then, but either way, that one didn't work out. But I'm getting the title shot I've been waiting for now as well. So either way, it worked out. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah.
You've been, I mean, I feel like the fans have been teased a number of times with, we're going to see Solomon after your incredible performance, obviously, not the last time in Dublin, or not the last show in Dublin, but the last time you fought in Dublin in the RDS. And we haven't really seen you since then, because there's been a load of stuff happening with fights falling out and opponent changes and all that stuff. We have seen you a lot in the gym. We've seen you, obviously on Instagram. I mean, what I want to know firstly is this brother of yours. What the fuck's going on here? Like, is he just the gym bully now? Because all I'm seeing is videos of Sam Simon and there's lads with blood all over their face. And it seems like he's bullying you mainly. That's what I've taken from it. So do we need to have a word with your older brother, or what's the crack?
I would appreciate that if I could bring him on and then you could give out to him a little bit. Just tell him we need him to survive until fight night. That would be very useful. But he's very good overall. Genuinely, he's a lot better than he ever was. That's a nice way of putting it. Because I remember years ago it was just pure chaos. But now I actually don't mind when I go with him. I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but he's probably one of the best person I like going with, because we go fairly hard, being honest. But there's zero animosity there at all, and then it allows me to push a lot more. I could push my gas tank to the max, and I know he's still coming back at me, and I have to have my P's and Q's in order and whatnot, just to make sure I'm not gonna get hurt. He's not trying to hurt me, but he's trying to hurt me, if that makes sense. I know if I mess up, it's gonna hurt me. So that that intensity is needed sometimes. When he does it with other people, I'm sorry, that's actually, to be honest, the video I put up that time, I think no, it was a fault. I was gonna try to defend him there, but I can't, to be honest with you. He's always doing something a little bit too much, but he's good overall. He's a great partner to have.
I mean, 100%. To be able to knock lumps into your brothers, I feel like that's a rite of passage for most brothers growing up together anyway. Whereas you are doing it in a professional, confined setting these days. What I'm right in saying he is older than you, right?
Yeah. Yes. That's right. Yeah.
And would you have been competitive growing up, or obviously you're pushing each other now in training and that, but would you? Because he fought for a while and then he took a long break and then he came back. So I imagine there's been a bit of movement where he probably beat the shit out of you for a while, and now you're I mean, I'm gonna throw it out there. You're kind of top dog. Not to throw Sam under the bus here, but you're the one fighting for Cage Warriors titles here.
Don't say that too much, because that might fire him up a bit too much as well. But he's obviously growing up in the same house with two brothers. I have an older brother, Victor, as well, and Ian. To be honest with you, I will stay away even until now. If it comes to the gym, it might be different, but outside the gym, I think he will fuck me up most of the time still. Sam, it's just been funny because there's stories of this. Obviously, I couldn't beat him up growing up, right? And there's times where we will be having fights, and I remember I got a butter knife or butter knife, and I started chasing him around the house with it. He locked me outside because I was he was beating the shit out of me, and I was I can't defend myself with anything else. Grabbed the knife, chased him up and down. Eventually, my auntie got involved and helped calm it down. But obviously, in my head, I would tell myself, obviously, I'm not gonna stab him. But at that point in time, I was this is the only thing I can do to defend myself right now. But no, we've had mass stories, and love him to bits. Obviously love the whole family, but when he started training and then came back, when he started training first, that was the initial trigger to get into the gym, etc., and even more recently, when he came back after the injury, that was a mad motivation, because injured himself, was out for nearly 4 years, came back, and within a couple of months, same thing happened again, and it still came back and literally tore through the amateur scene, won every major title in the amateur scene within a year or a year and a bit. And I'm sure he's gonna probably do something similar in the pro scene as well when that time comes. So it's been a good motivation. And then again, I said earlier, magnificent training partner to have, because he really does push me, and I'm sure I push him as well. So the more we just get better together.
Definitely.
Did you start training mixed martial arts or in combat sports before you, or how did that and he kind of inspired you to kind of start up as well? Must be pretty cool now to be able to experience what you're experiencing. Obviously he's on the come up, you're on the come up, you're getting ready for a world title shot as well. To be able to be side by side and shoulder to shoulder with him, literally blood, sweat and tears in preparation. Obviously, there's no kitchen knives involved or anything like that now. You're in more of a controlled environment, but it must be really special to be able to experience that with your brother.
100%. Like their first fight, I went actually probably the second, but most recent fight, last fight I went to watch with him was he was fighting for the featherweight title as well. Then, but like even going into that fight, he already had an injury, but the title option came up, and then like they were just like, okay, just jump on it, and like hindsight probably shouldn't have done it, but because like that was where the injury got worse during that fight, but like. It's been an inspiration for sure watching him, and then again side by side now, it's a good pump together. Like, and I'm the one annoying him to get to the gym, being honest now. But like, because earlier on, it would have probably been the one pushing me. But now I'm like messaging him, annoying him, be like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you today. So that's enough. Like, if your little brother saying that will get you out of the bed, and like
the ego will get you there.
So,
but like, so this older brother Victor, like, does he train? What are the ages? Victor's the...
Yeah, Victor will be the oldest. I would think is the reason I'm saying this now. I'm like thinking it, but what's that? 30. Alright, so Victor will be 33, Sam's 32, and I'm 30 now. Yeah, so 2 years. Yeah, look, I'm trying because we're like 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years older than each other. Like that's what Victor's one older than Sam. Two Sam's but like so
3 lads 3 years apart. I'd say that was chaos in the gaff.
Oh, it's but again, it's chaos. But there was no Victor was in very, very much control. Like as in it was no like, and obviously like we lost our dad at a fairly young age, so he was the man of the house. From the jump, like so there was no like, oh, it's chaos between us. It's like if Victor says something, we're gonna get it. Sam and Victor had a bit more, like there was a bit more of a competition there, but I was like, no, I was the runt, like I was just getting the baiting off the two of them, so like there was no what's good. But yeah, Victor, he doesn't train, and like I don't know if I want to get him to train, but if it does, like he is a monster as well. Like he slaps me even more recently, like just with the size of his arms alone, he could like just with a slap he'll probably knock you out, like so. But yeah, it's in the genes somewhere.
The old butter knife will be coming in handy if he ever steps into the gym.
I might get a shotgun as well, to be honest.
Well, look, I mean, it's amazing to hear. I mean, the fact that you're saying he's the scary one by the sounds of it of the three of you is a terrifying thought. And jokes aside, Sam is looking brilliant, and like he's fought some really, really tough competition at amateur. Obviously, beating Darryl Sullivan, who's looking brilliant in the pro ranks now. So I imagine we'll probably see Sam going. Will we see Sam go pro? I mean,
yeah, 100%. Like I'd say, like he should have this year. Again, like I know there's a few things, family, there's a few, but either way, like he's gonna be listening to this. So I'm like, it's all excuses really, but definitely I'll say early next year we should be expecting him on there saying that. But like it could have been, it should have happened this year, I would have thought, but just a few things didn't work out. But yeah, next year we'll definitely see him in that.
Brilliant. Well, look, great to chat about the lads, but we're here to talk about you, Solomon, and there's been a lot been going on. Obviously, you were scheduled to be in the main event of Cage Wars the last time out in Dublin against Aidan Lee. That fell through. What I know it's been. We'll give you the kind of general timeline. So the Aidan Lee fight fell through on the night they announced that you were fighting then for the interim world title. Against Nik Bagley, which is obviously the fight that everyone wanted to see.
The full world title.
Sorry, the full world title. Sorry. I was getting confused with the lightweight one. The vacant featherweight, officially the vacant featherweight title.
Yes.
Which is the full world title. That obviously has been scuppered due to injury as well. So it's been, there's been a lot of ups and downs, I imagine, probably mentally for you with like as far as a focus. But let's look at first the main event in Dublin, the Aidan Lee fight. What was your initial reaction when all that was going on? How was that kind of period of the last couple of months for you? Yeah,
like I think for me anyway, like when I was called get a name, like I just like go watch him, have a rough idea, and then like just settle in my head, and then like it doesn't even, it's just to have like a vision in my head, and I'm like, okay, that's it, and then switch on, go through the nerves up and down, and then now we're locked in now, focus on that. So like when that was the case up until I think it was a week out roughly, or just over a week out, and like I was at that point obviously limbo, don't know, but I was still hopeful that something was gonna pop through. kept waiting up until the last minute, like a few days before weigh-in, really. Like, didn't work out, but yeah, that was all grand. And got in on the night there as well. Like, but after we couldn't find something for Adrian Lee, so I just had a rough idea. I was like, I just need to get on the next one, and then Nik Bagley option came up, and it was only going to be for the title at that point, because that was like we're at, like I said, the top 2 in that division for sure right now, based on like what we've done. So London, and I think when I talked to you as well, like prior for the Adrian Lee one, I would like the thought in my head was like I'd get through that one and then show up in London as well anyway. So yeah, Nik came up, took that, ready to go, and just a few weeks into second camp, that fell through, and I was just like, oh God. Like, but I wasn't like too upset about it that time, because I was like, nah, something will definitely come up, like title fight, like it's not what's it called. So like it's all good, like closer now, and do have a name in my head, like, so I'm hopeful on something showing up, like fairly certain, but like just not confirmed yet. And then I'm gonna see when that comes through, then look, we're all good. But that's the rough timeline. I don't know if I ranted a little bit there.
No, you're grand. Like, from a timeline perspective, obviously it's a great piece of news for you to receive that right now you're fighting for the Cage Warriors world title. But you were preparing for September, right? So you're preparing for that September. You're in your camp. You're probably cutting weight, and then at the very, towards the very end, you're finding it right. There's no replacement coming. There isn't going to be, because we were trying to launch the campaign for the title to go on that night in Dublin, and then it's pushed back. So obviously it's the good news of the Bagley fight, but it's now November. Were you happy with that? Would you prefer to get a fight in September and then have the Bagley fight, or were you just thinking, look, this has actually turned into a great scenario for me overall, despite your fight in Dublin falling through?
Yeah, I would have 100% loved to fight. The experience really makes a massive difference for me. And if I had fought there and then straight into November, like I think the version of me that comes out in November would be like significantly up, like a different level again. But like being honest with, like after that one, like I had a blowout in the gym as well, so like I just got the energy out of myself anyway. So like it just lead up to that one. But I would have definitely liked to have had a fight in. Just again, it's just the experience / the like April was the last one. I would have liked to get in again before that. I wanted at least 3 for the year. That was like my sequence when I went pro in my head. I was like, say if I could get 3 a year, that would be a good, like solid timeline, and then that would lead to where I want to get to a lot quicker. So the more fights, like as the record goes up, like you just look better for the bigger shows as well, if you know what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I would have liked it, but look, if the way it worked out now, even better. Like I'm not gonna complain having a title fight there,
Go on, Eddie.
In terms of like keeping your body the way you wanted, your mindset the way you wanted, obviously the finish line has gotten extended and extended and extended. Obviously you're trying to hit your peak close to when you're going to be fighting. What do you do in those kind of scenarios, whether it be inside or outside the gym, to kind of, it's just kind of, is it extending your camp a little bit longer? Or like you said, you had a little bit of a blowout in the gym, probably did some kind of live rounds in there as well, just to kind of, like you said, get some of that energy, some of that emotion out of there as well. And then is it just continue on as if you would have after the fight, or, have you had to watch your weight for a little bit longer? Is it difficult to kind of balance all of those kind of things when, you're supposed to fight and then it falls through at the last minute, and now you're a couple of months more than what you would have originally wanted to fight in, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. Like it's very difficult. Like being honest, I've basically been in camp since end of July, really roughly now, because like near about the September was the plan, so September, August, like yes, around the end of July-ish was like since we've just been ramping it up, and like the fight week of the Dublin card was like just like sort of like wasn't doing much that week anyway, just because like I had already started water loading because I like just again been hopeful in my head like on whatever comes up, but so that week was fairly light, so that was sort of like calm down, should I say, like I sort of chill out a bit more. Andy and Bobby was just saying I should take the following week off as well, but like in my head it's not easy to just be like, I have a fight coming up in 7 weeks at that point, and I was like, I'm just gonna chill for a bit. Like it's not comfortable to do that. It is needed, but took a couple of days off, and then I just went right back into sort of camp setting, should I say. Just had rounds, getting a few bodies in, all that. And like, look, been touching wood, and like been a blessing, because again, the few pullouts would have shared, like would speak to it. Like, it is a tough game, and injuries are very, very common, and like especially when you're pushing yourself to the level that we do when it's coming up to a fight. So I've been lucky, I've been blessed. Like nothing major. Like obviously there's always things there, but like nothing show stopping. So like we're good, and I have 1 week left. I'm going to make sure I wrap myself up, like still get the work in, but just not do anything too crazy, and then we'll just make it to fight week and get that belt.
Sal, what's changed in fight camp? Because before you would have been preparing for obviously 3 rounds in Dublin, and now you're changing to your first time going 5-minute rounds. What changes in those 7 weeks for you in camp to be able to prepare for those 25 minutes?
Extra rounds. That's generally the main thing. Obviously the standard conditioning, there's all of that is there, but like when I'm doing my main like sessions lead for, as in like team session / like this session is sort of focused on me a little bit more. So like just have a good few of our bodies comes in, and like I'm just doing rounds. So like let's say the last one maybe would be like 3 intense rounds. Now we'll move it out like around 6 or so, 5 minutes, just to like with fresh body. It's a lot tougher, but it's just more rounds really. It's all that changes. Like pad sessions, all of that is still the same. You just add a couple more in just to show that you can still stay fresh and sharp deeper and longer, if that makes sense. But fitness, all of that, like I think it gets to a point where like I feel amazing. And I think a lot of it as well, when you're in a fight, or like when you're in a fight and in the gym, when you're getting pushed to a point, it gets to a point where it's not like, oh, you're really, really fit, and like it's like you're so fit that you're not gonna get tired, or like you're gonna still be able to like push. You're still gonna be sharp as you were at the start of the rounds, etc., etc. It doesn't work like that anymore. After a few rounds into that, it's pure mental, and it's not like it's mental of staying focused, knowing what you're gonna do, knowing you're gonna do the right thing next all the time, like, and like staying sharp in there, even when your body is like saying quick, when your body is like aching, and like when you're there, you've just finished a round with like completely fresh man. Halfway through, you have a new fresh man coming in to like push you out. You're not going to be able to outlast those people, but that's where the mental comes in, and that's the main part. I felt like over the last year that has like skyrocketed a lot for me, like where like I'm not in as much, or like if sometimes when I feel like, oh, the energy is going down, I feel like, oh, I should be fitter than this, I should be whatever. It's not a fitness thing, like it's impossible for that. It's more the mindset, and like I know where my mind is at now. Like no one can stop me, like no one can like come near me and expect to push me deeper than I've pushed myself. I've been to places in my head that I know you can get. If you get me there, I'm gonna drown you there as well. So I'm comfortable in the pain now, and like that makes anybody, like no matter what the name is, no matter who the body is, like I'm not stressed about it. Just show up on that night, you're gonna be facing me, and like if you could last it, then look, that's good on you, but I'm gonna push you, and I've been pushed, I've been there, and like if you want to take me deeper, let's go there. I'm gonna swim with you, and like at the end of it, I'm coming out there with your soul, and that's what I'm looking forward to do. Like I'm really, really, really looking forward to this one. I felt like there's been a lot of growth I've had in the last year that like I feel like this is gonna show a lot of things. And look, if he lasts long enough, that'll be good for him. But like there's a dangerous man coming on in a couple of weeks, and I'm looking forward to like showcasing that to people.
Solomon, we found out a couple of days ago. So Nik Bagley posted out that he's injured, that he's out of the fight. How did you find out, and what was your reaction?
Found out just Andy called, and be like, Bagley's out. And I thought it was a joke. Like I was laughing in my head. I'm like, there's zero chance. How can this happen? Like that makes no sense. Like, and like but yeah, like that was freaking a shot. Like as it was painful to hear at that time, but I was like, still gonna get a fight. Like he said, like something's still gonna come up. Like so, like just stay switched on, stay focused. The same thing is happening. All that is still gonna say, oh, yeah, look, took it out. I mean, just wiped it off, kept training, doing everything like normal, and then yeah, that was it. Like it was just I didn't know what the injury was until I saw his post as well recently. I don't know what the injury was, but like I thought it was gonna be bad because like nothing's like he's an animal himself, like so nothing's gonna pull him out just willy-nilly, if you know what I mean. So yeah, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably one of those things you can't really spend too much time thinking about him at that point, and it's just on to the next one. He did say in his post, so he had said, I'll be ready to fight Solomon or any other fighter holding the belt on my return early 2026. Obviously, you're going to be focused on this fight and winning the Cage Warriors World title. The big show that is scheduled for Cage Warriors is Cage Warriors 200, obviously in February, which is going to be in Dublin. Are you open to, you know, considering he's saying that he would like to fight you? I think he's almost kind of, he's probably expecting you to win the belt. Is that a fight that you still want, or do you even think about that?
Yeah, no, like of course, like it's a name that would be nice to have. Like I'm not stressed on, like I'm not gonna be like, oh, I want this person, I want that person, whatever. I think at that point when I get to that. When I get that belt, it's going to be the best people coming after me anyway. So, like, I would expect him to be the next one. So, like, as he should have been the one now. So, yeah, no, therefore would take that if the opportunity comes. And, like, if a bigger opportunity comes myself, I would jump on that as well. So, we'll get through this first. Like, that's still a good while away. Like, this is the most important fight. Get this one there, and then we'll start talking after that.
It's got to be. It's got to be a little bit weird, right? Because you're fully focused on the date, the venue, the cage. You know, we don't know who you're fighting yet. We don't know. There's nothing official. So, what mentality are you going in with right now?
Yeah, like the mindset lately, but a lot more recently, like with all this is like, you know what, like they're fighting me as much as I'm fighting them. Like it's not like I don't like, again, tactically I love watching my opponents. I like knowing what makes them tick, what they like to do, etc., because then when I go in there, like I could exploit what I can. But out of that, like I know how good I am. I know how I have a way of approaching this game, and when I get in there, like he's facing me as well. Like as in whoever he's faced before, whatever he might have done with them, whatever way, oh, he did well, they finished this guy, did that, whatever. Like I don't really give a shit. You're gonna have to try that against me. Like, and it's me you're facing, and like that's not gonna be an easy task for everyone. Like it will be a near impossible task for most people. So look, let's get in there and like let me see what you can do. But I am gonna be coming at you, hunting you down from the minute the bell goes, and if you could last, you last. That's good for you. But I don't care who you are. I'm just going after you. And like if you feel like you could deal with me, like better man for that.
Just one quick one before we let you go, Solomon. So let's say, you know, whoever comes in, whether it's someone from outside the promotion or inside the promotion, are you surprised? Like it seems like there's a lot of talent on the roster right now. Are you surprised that it hasn't been like a quicker, you know, process for someone to just step up? And like, it's a great opportunity fighting for a world title. And I know some of the lads are probably, you know, maybe a little bit earlier in their pro careers, but I mean, this is a great opportunity with Nik Bagley out to stand up and say, right, I want this shot and I want it right now. Are you surprised that more people haven't done that?
Yeah, like very surprised, being honest. Like I thought, like I said, when the original happened, I just expected like that would be easy. Like who doesn't want it and whatnot. So like I think it might have been like there's a couple of shows recently, so people just come in. To be honest, I just came off a camp technically as well. Like I'm just thinking like people just probably just fought recently. Maybe the weight, maybe like there could be a few reasons. Maybe the timing is just not there, and like can't speak for people, so I don't know. All I can say is like every name they've given to me, I've like said yes to. So like whatever why some names didn't come up, some names that I don't know. I can't really speak on that part, but I am definitely surprised. But like I'm sure like everyone is gonna be gunning on that once like that champ status is there. So either way, look, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I was quite surprised, being honest. But again, touch on wood, it's worked out now.
Touch wood, it works out. And I think one other thing that's worked out quite well for you recently, and I'm going to start this off with, I really hope that you have your motorcycle license, because Harley Davidson, how did you pull that one? Brilliant.
My mate, my mate, he sort of works there / just is in with the family anyway. So that was like the sort of connection there, and like they believe in me as well. So that was nice. I can't ride a bike to save my life, but and I don't think my fiance would appreciate it either, because it can be dangerous. But I think I'm gonna get into it. I would just keep down the deal. I'm whispering that because she's there. Not like she's gonna listen to this. But yeah, no, it's massive opportunity. I'm very happy with that. Zero complaints on my end. So yeah, but if you need hookups with Harley Davidson, let me know. I'll get you connected.
I hope if they give you a spin on one of those, and one of your choice after your fight. Anyway, I think that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, now I'll definitely set that up with the belt. Ooh, that's nice. That's a good video right there.
Exactly.
Solomon, I have one last question for you before we let you go. What would it mean to you to win the Cage Warriors world title?
It would be massive. I think it's one of those things. It's a good checkpoint on the journey, and it's a good flag. Just put that right there. We got that checked off the list. Because it's I'm not how could I put it? I'm not massive into. I try not to make the moments too big in my head. I try not to feel like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, or whatever. I'm just taking it one fight at a time, and I know where my end goal is, and then I have a path, a journey that I want to get, that I have to go through to get there. So that's how it is, and this is a good checkpoint on that point. And I knew this was gonna happen on the way to that. So again, not making it big in my head, but realistically, it's a massive achievement. Massive achievement for the gym. And then the names have taken that belt as well, what they've gone on to do, what their career has been it's a really good mark of my own achievement and my own greatness as well. It's sort of it's a proof, external proof, more than what yourself in the inside. I know what I can do. I know what I believe in myself. But when you have that there, it's a good thing to look, he's the man right now. So it'll be good. Again, not making it too big in my head, because at the end of the day, I have to go in there and just face an opponent. The belt is not going to be in the cage while I'm in there. It's going to be that man trying to get that away from me, trying to take everything I work for. So I just have to take him out and then come on with the belt.
Well, Solomon, no matter who's standing across the cage from me, I think we're all excited to see you go in there and do your stuff. Saturday the 15th of November, Cage Warriors 196, the main event. Solomon King Simon fighting for the Cage Warriors featherweight world title. You can tune in on UFC Fight Pass. And Solomon, all the best with the last week or so of camp. The not fun part of cutting weight, and then maybe the slightly more fun part when you get to eat a bit of food the day before the fight. But look, best of luck with it all. I'm sure we'll see some news coming out from Cage Warriors in the next day or so. Maybe even right now as you're listening to this, the news has broken. But Solomon, we can't wait to see you do your stuff, and congratulations on the title shot. And we look forward to seeing you compete.
Perfect. Look, thanks very, very much. Really appreciate that. So, and I appreciate the support that you guys have been giving me all the way leading up to this. So let's finish this up now. This will be a good Christmas present.
That's it. I mean, the other two lads, I don't think they picked him for their teams or anything. So
that's what I was gonna say.
I think that was directed at me, right?
Look, Solomon, you're the only person that's winning on Andy's team now. So I mean, look, he doesn't have too much to gloat about this year, but you definitely are the shining star on Team Stevenson. But we're all rooting for you this weekend for sure, no matter whose team you're on. Anyway, that's for sure.
Cheers. Thanks very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Solomon.
All right, lads, a very kind of a strange scenario over at ACA in terms of James Gallagher's fight and it being cancelled. obviously he did an interview last week with the Energize show and kind of spoke in detail about what happened. And, I was talking with Sean about it on the SevereMMA podcast, and, we both were of the same opinion that like something real fishy must have gone on for James to want to pull out of this fight. Obviously carries himself with the utmost professionalism, always have and always will. And talking to the Energized lads, and he explained it in quite good detail as to what happened on the night. Andy, if you want to we can maybe work through it as well. Fight was moved around a couple of times. He was asked to come to the arena. He wasn't ready. Then went back to the hotel, got some food, just was kind of being led astray a little bit, and the preparation area for his kind of warm-up wasn't up to standard either, and ultimately, he was forced to make that decision, and, based off what he said, I would believe it was a correct decision that he made too.
Yeah, it's a real weird one, isn't it? Because like it seemed that on the night it was being framed as Gallagher the diva. Like that's kind of how, with his opponent coming out and talking, and it just seemed to be kind of painting him in a bad light when you listen to him talk about like what happened. It just like you can understand, okay, if there's a slight change and you're kept abreast of the situation and you have you have a spot to warm up and it's a normal kind of fight night, but when you're ready to go, you're there 2 hours early, and all of a sudden, okay, you're not fighting for 4 hours. Like, okay, right, well, like professional fighters, they'll as far as like he talks about, he was eating, and these are the things we probably never, or like I certainly don't really think about, where there's probably a very specific schedule where you don't want to be going in a full stomach, because like you'll see lads like getting sick in the cage and all sorts of stuff. Like it has an impact. You have to be very careful. So like you're in a professional setting, you need to treat it professionally. So for a constant moving of the goalposts, and then promises where, like, I doubt he was looking for the Ritz-Carlton. Like he probably just wanted a mat, like or some area. And like he kind of talked about in the interview with the lads, like there was a gym around the corner that he found out kind of like 2 or 3 hours later. He's like, I could have just been there. I would have driven over myself, just warmed up in that gym, and then I'd come straight over to the arena whenever you need me. So it just seemed like it was very unprofessional in how it was handled. Now, I will say, the big takeaway I had from listening to James, he is really mature. Like I feel like the old James Gallagher would have been, kind of giving out stink and kind of sticking the boot in here. I feel like he's handled it with as much class as he possibly can, and with as much maturity as he can. And even it sounds like that, there's a relationship kind of been repaired already between himself and ACA, where they've had where they've had a meeting the next day. So it sounds like he's looking to compete for them again, and wants to compete in Russia in December to get the rematch going, or not the rematch, but to reschedule the contest. So yeah, look, maybe this is a good thing in the long run, but yeah, I suppose now he's gone from fighting in Dubai against where he's still probably the away fighter in the eyes of the promotion, and now he's going to have to go off to Russia to fight a Russian. So yeah, hopefully he's treated a bit better over there than he was in Dubai anyway, but very, very bizarre situation.
Are you surprised, Caoilte, that he is open to going back and fighting for ACA again after all of the kind of drama that unfolded in his last fight? I mean, I was surprised to hear him say that. Were you?
Yeah, I was very surprised. But from the he obviously spoke about the conversation that he had with them, and that they assured, he was assured that's not like this in Russia. So they're speaking about getting him on that card over there. So at that point, maybe, that could have changed things. The conversation seems to have gone very well, and maybe they won him round. I imagine maybe there's obviously financial sides to this as well, where ACA could be paying X amount of money and they could pay X amount more if it's in Russia. I don't really know, I'm just suspecting there, but there's many different facets to it that could be impacting that. But it looks like they had a good conversation, and he's willing to give it another go. And I imagine if it goes south over there, then he probably won't fight for them again. But yeah, look, he probably sees it as an opportunity, and he gets to go over and compete with them. I think I said last time, it's a controversial enough promotion. The other side of me was thinking, okay, does this impact any potential future signings to the UFC? These are all hypotheticals. Does it impact a potential future signing to the UFC if he goes over and competes for them? I don't know how that would have worked if it was in Dubai, but if he's going over to Russia and competing in a promotion that is it's sanctioned by the US Treasury, I believe.
I don't know if the promotion is, but it's a promotion owned by Ramzan Kadyrov, who is sanctioned by the US Treasury for, I think he's a public designation of Russian national Ramzan Kadyrov due to involvement in gross violations of human rights. That was from 2020. So
the guy that Shabayev does Bikozian up to as well, isn't it?
Yeah, Chechen dictator.
Yeah.
So like there's been fighters who've pulled out before due to them. So obviously, I don't know what James's plan is. I'm just speculating of like, okay, does it have any potential impact on him going to the likes of a UFC or competing on the US card? Maybe it doesn't, and it means nothing. But if it does, I would, and he knows that, I would have been a bit surprised. It would make me a bit more surprised, but we'll see. It's all hypothetical stuff at the moment, and just kind of questions I have surrounding it that I think need to look into a little bit more before making any more comments on it.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, very well said. No, I agree. There definitely interesting things going on over in that promotion as well. Moving on to domestic action. Clan Wars 53 went down since we've last been on as well, guys. Nate the Great Kelly picked up a good win over Ricky DeRujo for a unanimous decision. Andrew Barr picked up a nice win on that card. Anything else on the card, or do you want to speak about those kind of fights in a little bit more detail, Andy? I mean, a couple of good wins on that card.
Yeah, I think that's a good win for Nate Kelly. Ricky DeRujo was really impressed by him in his last number of fights that I've seen him in. That's 2 on the bounce now for Nate. He's been competing a bit more actively, I think, this year. So he's fought in January, June, October now. So good to see him. Obviously, we had the kind of Bellator, PFL opportunities, but I think this is great that we're seeing him out there fighting good guys. Obviously, he had that fight against Nassim Akdim, which he lost, but 27 fight veteran at amateur is pretty crazy. So yeah, I think this is a really good win. I believe he's booked again to fight down an elite fighting championship as well. So it'd be interesting to see when he decides to make the jump to pro. I would say probably we're maybe in the next year. If I was to guess, we're probably looking at that for Nate. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. And then Andrew Barrett, of course, I think it's been a while. I'm trying to remember. Like, I know this was his pro debut. I can't remember the last time Andrew fought.
Was it that Ur?
It might have been, yeah.
That Ur event, I think.
Maybe, yeah, it might have been. But yeah, good to see him make his pro debut. I think Lopez gave him a good test here. I know, like, Lopez is always one where I feel like we say this all the time. He's a really good striker, and I don't think like his MMA record isn't really the fairest reflection of him as a fighter, because you see some lads going in against somebody who's 0-4 and they're just not, like, they're very clearly like not a fighter to the same level that other or most fighters are, whereas that's not the case here with Roger Lopez, I don't think at all. Good win for Tristan Barnett as well against Peter Hopley. That's a really good that's a good fight, and that's a really good win for Tristan there against a good name at amateur. And then a couple of quick wins for Nathan Chambers, first round rear naked choke over Cesar Correa. Nathan's doing really well under SBG under Peter Queally and SVG Nate, and similarly Martinez Jagutis defeated Jordan Carger via first round TKO. There's a lot of other fights in the card. I think they're more kind of maybe on the novice side, so we probably won't go into all them today as we've a lot of action to get through. But yeah, some good stuff there.
100%. I think we can talk about a bit more recent action now, Caoilte. Marek Jakimowicz defeated Nika Chivli via first round. Oh my goodness, that
was incredible.
That may
You'd have a highlight reel with these names.
Oh man, I definitely have a bloopers reel when it calls it, like, but my god, that probably is the most difficult fight I've ever had to call out on a podcast. But Marek got the job done via first round TKO anyway. Caoilte, good performance. I didn't get the chance to see it. This happened not so long before we started recording here, so I think you guys were watching the LFL there as
Yeah, that one only happened
while we're recording, is it?
While we're recording, yeah. I just opened my phone and saw it on an Instagram story of him just hammering down elbows. So it looks like first round TKO for him. Haven't seen the rest of the fight to comment. To be honest, it's literally happened as we're recording. But yeah, he moves to
2 now, isn't it?
Yeah, he's
kind of coming out of nowhere.
Telling you, he's a great record going now. So he does.
Had that heavy KO of Graham Sheehan. Was in cage conflicts there earlier in the year.
Yeah. On a good old run there. McDonald too, Andy picked up a nice win. And we have an Auld triangle that we can celebrate here too. Sound the alarms.
We just get that as a voice clip that we put in.
An Auld triangle win for Owen McDonald in the first round against Barry.
That's an easier name for you there, Ian.
Erskine.
Barry.
Yeah, Barry. Yeah, Jesus Christ, making me sweat here on the podcast. We just
good win for Owen.
We honestly genuinely need to. We need to just get like a Sean Denny segment in here where he comes in and helps us pronounce stuff.
He's just sitting in the wings, and we just bring him in.
Yeah, he's going to absolutely butcher me for those two names now as well. But I digress. Good win for Owen McDonald nonetheless, Andy.
Yeah, the lads were swinging at the start of this when they trading in the pocket. I think Owen did a really good job of defending the takedowns, of working on the cage, of getting to his underhooks, reversing position, and then he was looking for a takedown for a bit. And similarly, like your man Barry, I'm forgetting his last name now. Anyway, Barry, he looked pretty good too. But ultimately, Owen got he was on a single leg in the switch. He got the takedown in the end. Barry looked to reverse it, but Owen did a brilliant job of just clinically latching in on the triangle, adjusting position, and really really solid win here. So I think he moves to 2-0 now as a professional. Good win. We had Paddy McCarry and Reece McKee in the corner. So yeah, really good stuff here from Owen. Good win, and interested to see what's next for him.
Yeah, indeed. Interested to see what's next as well. And what's next is a very good Cage Warriors card coming up in just a couple of weeks, and a bit of Irish interest on the card as well. Friday the 21st of November, Cage Warriors 197 unplugged in the BEC Arena. Caoilte sees a few Irish in action here. Jordan O'Neill hoping to get a fight. I mean, he's been so desperately unlucky this year with fights falling out. Fingers crossed for Jordan that he gets this one. He's scheduled to take on Mitchell Good. And we have Emer Darcy on that card as well. She will take on Katerina Raichova. And on top of the bill, we have Omar Tugarev, who will face Omiel Brown in an absolute barn burner. I mean, Omiel Brown carries some big power. Obviously, Omar, comes in with that kind of aggressive grappling style too. This is a real interesting stylistic matchup at the top of the bill, and maybe share your thoughts on that fight and a couple of the fights on the undercard as well. A little bit of Irish interest, as I said, on that Cage Warriors 197 cards.
Yeah, absolutely. Some really, really good fights there. But like to start with Omar Tugarev versus Omiel Brown, like what a fight. Absolutely exceptional. I think it's a bit of a clash of styles as well, which will make it a bit interesting. So, if Omar can avoid that power and manage to implement those takedowns, get Omiel Brown down, tire him out, wear him down, and try and get the sub. I imagine that's going to be his route to victory here, because you do not want to get caught with one of those shots. They can put your lights out. As we've seen plenty of times before with this guy. Incredible. I think I'm going to leave the interim lightweight title around to Andy, because I think you're chomping at the bit to have a go at that one. But before we leave you loose with that one, Emer Darcy's fight, that's actually a really, really good fight. Katerina was on, I think she was at the IMAS for the years that I was working there, and she was very, very good. Like, she's a top prospect coming out of Austria, so that's a real step up in competition for Emer Darcy, and I think that's a really well matched fight. So a good test for her there. And like you said, Jordan O'Neill, like cross your fingers, say a few prayers, just leave this lad have a fight. Like, God, he's had no luck whatsoever.
Put St. Anthony up on the mantelpiece.
That's it, yeah. It's going to be night before weigh-ins, week of the fight, everything. Just as long as he gets in there, we're happy at this point because, it's been a rough out time for him. But that's a great fight too, Mitchell Good. He's tough cookie him now, and that could be a barn burner. That Mitch, I've watched a few Mitchell's fights before, especially at amateur. I think 1 or 2 pro. So some great matchups from Ian Dean. A few Ian Dean specials, as we can put it.
Dean specials, indeed. A couple of Ian Dean specials coming up over the next couple of months. You want to pop in there for 197, Andy, or add anything to that one?
I suppose. No, I mean, like, I think Omar Tugarev versus Omiel Brown is a fucking phenomenal fight. Like, an absolutely incredible matchup. I cannot wait for it. You've got Omiel Brown coming in, a 5-fight winning streak, all by his stoppages. Obviously, Tugarev is undefeated in his pro career, all stoppages. It doesn't get better than that, it's one of, if not the best, matchups you can put on out there in Cage Warriors at the moment. I just don't understand the interim aspect of it. Like, I know Samuel Silva was the champion, but then he went to Contender Series and he loses in Contender Series. And now, fair enough, okay, come back, give no issue with him versus Omar Tugarev. That's grand, but if he can't make it to the fight, then why is the title being kept for him when he's left the promotion, he's lost, and now he's not able to make it to this fight? So just put the title on. Like, it should just be for, it just doesn't, it seems a bit unfair that someone's undefeated, they've won a title, and now they're defending an interim title. Like, I hate when there's interim titles being defended in anywhere, but like, there's a big difference between an interim title in the UFC, which I still think is ridiculous, being defended, versus like a Cage Warriors interim title. It doesn't make sense to me. By all means, give Silva the opportunity to come back and fight for the belt again when he's ready. Like, it's probably an injury or something, like, very legitimate, but it just, to me, feels it's a head scratcher. I just don't understand why that is the case, basically.
Yeah,
that's. But again, love the fight, and I didn't even realize it was for the interim title when I first saw it. I was blinded by, this is a phenomenal fight, which it will be, and I think it's a brilliant matchmaking by Ian Dean. But yeah, just that, I just don't get the interim piece.
Yeah, that's fair. It's fair. I would tend to agree as well with that. A little bit confusing. Maybe a little bit confusing on the next Cage Warriors card as well. Cage Warriors 198. Leon Hill is fighting on the card. The welterweight title is on the line. The interim welterweight title, isn't it? The interim? Yeah, it is. No? Full on?
That's a 199. That's you're talking Clancy Jr. versus...
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So
Leon's fighting a couple of weeks beforehand, yeah.
That's right. He's fighting on 198 against Ilano Andrade. I guess the point I was trying to make is no title shot for Hill. Sean Clancy Jr. gets that fight on Cage Warriors 199 on the 6th of December. You would have thought that maybe they could have lined Leon Hill up for that fight. It's a little bit unusual that he's not fighting for the title, but he does fight Elanio Andrade on the 22nd of November. How many? Yeah, if he gets a win here, he almost becomes undeniable for a title shot, in my opinion. Obviously, we do have other kind of top prospects in that division as well. Your thoughts on this one, Caoilte?
Which situation? I get what you mean. The fact he hasn't got a title shot, if considering he's booked for 198, and you get a guy in for 199 who I believe hasn't fought in Cage Warriors before. Please, someone correct me if I'm wrong there. But
no, you're right.
Why? I don't understand why you don't just throw him in there. I know there's loads of different contenders and stuff. It would have been great to have him in there, and it could potentially line up a title defense in Dublin. But yeah, look, it's great that he's getting a fight, and it might put him in a better position. But it's hard to know really with Cage Warriors sometimes, and this is one of those situations where I'm scratching my head here, thinking, why is this guy coming in to fight Clancy Jr. for the interim when Leon Hill, who's he has proven himself in the promotion and now is nearly overlooked for a title shot? and is booked to fight 2 weeks prior, it just one of those things make it make sense, you know?
Yeah, make it make sense. Can you make it make sense, Andy?
I certainly can't, and to be honest, this is the one that I've been kind of gearing myself up for. Look, we stick the boot into PFL a lot on this podcast, and I feel like we, for the most part, don't Cage Wars, and I love Cage Wars, and I love the production value. I love the fights they put on. I would just waxing lyrical about, the Omiel Brown and Tugarev fight. We've got, they made Nik Bagley and Solomon Simon. Ian Dean, for my money, is the best matchmaker in all of MMA. But this welterweight scenario is perplexing to me. As a standalone fight, Sean Clancy Jr. versus Melvin Van Soydam, it's not a bad fight. Like, we've seen Andres Binder fight Melvin Van Soydam. He's a big guy. He's a seriously powerful striker. He's got some good finishes on his record. He's an experienced guy. As a fight, it's fine. But the issue here is you've got like a who's who at welterweight that are there for the title, like that are primed and ready to fight for the title. To make it more complicated, this is for the interim title because Justin Burleson is, I'm not sure what story is, whether he's injured or what, but obviously like he's not there to fight right now, but he is the champion of the division. So then you're now creating an interim title, obviously for Sean Clancy to fight, but then you're bringing in an outside guy. So then you have the likes of Leon and Adam Darby and Anthony Orozco and James Sheen and Matt Figlak, who are all already there. And now, like you said there a minute ago, Ian, a win for Leon Hill, and of course he's the title contender. Well, how, and depending on how this shakes out, how can he be if you've got a champion and then an interim champion? And to me, and this is where I'll frame it as constructive criticism for Cage Wars, it's getting very confusing now for me to know what is Cage Warriors just an average, like the landscape has changed where Contender Series is there and lads are getting their undefeated records and they're getting pushed to the UFC. But is Cage Warriors, are we to treat Cage Warriors as a standalone promotion where we look at the fights that they put on and the belts that they have and that as a place of esteem? Or are we just looking at it as a mechanism to get guys to the UFC? Because, and this is the elephant in the room, is Sean Clancy Jr. is managed by Graham Boylan. Leon Hill is managed by Graham Boylan. James Sheehan's managed by Graham Boylan. Anthony Orozco is managed by Graham Boylan. I don't think Matt Figlak is. I'm not too sure. But in theory, it should be really easy and I'm not even having a go at this because there's no Ali Act in MMA. There'll never be. I think people need to kind of just, to be honest, a little bit get over that fact because it's never going to change. But I do think Graham Boylan has to balance being a manager and being a promoter. And if the priority is getting lads to the UFC, that's fine. I think that's a good thing for the fighters. But how are we as fans and media supposed to look at the promotion itself if the best fights in the promotion aren't being made when it should be easier to make them? If you've got one guy managing pretty much everyone who's a contender, that should be a pretty easy thing to do. And if you want to keep them away from each other, which I'm not even saying that that's it, because I think there are other mitigating factors here, like James Sheen, I believe, has some injuries. There's probably scheduling aspects here that are playing into this. Like, I'm not even saying that this is the reason, but you can't help but think about being like, well, like, Jesus, like, why are these guys not fighting each other? And it should be easy. And if it's a case that it's just about getting lads to UFC, fine. But then that's going to devalue the promotion as a whole, because we're supposed to be looking at this as, wow, the best fights being made on the UK and European scene. And you've got the likes of Oktagon now that are, in Europe, trying to establish themselves as the best promotion. So you need to be putting on these fights. And I just think it makes a very weird scenario where it's like, why, again, no disrespect to Melvin Van Soydam, but there's just so many options you have at your disposal here, and none of them are being put in.
I couldn't agree more. And I think, in terms of trying to get guys to the UFC, I think the avenue that Cage Warriors have found for a lot of their fighters recently is, straight in by Dana White's Contender Series. And that's not really an option over the next couple of months either. So, you're going to run into difficulties there where you're kind of roadblocking a lot of these fighters. It's a different story, building a fighter up. But someone like Leon Hill now, who was main eventing the last time, had a lovely finish, will probably, go out there and look to get another win there as well. what more else does he have to do there? Is he going to sit on the sidelines? I don't know. Is the title important to him? Does he want? He said he wants to go to the UFC. That's his goal. Is he willing to jump over Cage Warrior's title shot to get to the UFC? I probably think he would be, like a lot of other fighters would as well. And yeah, it's an issue that we've been seeing time and time again in Cage Warriors, where we've talked about that going down that avenue devalues a great belt that did once upon a time hold some great value, and that was the Cage Warriors world title. But we talked to guys time and time again about what they would like to do, and very few people. I think the only two in recent times that said that they're not in a rush to get to the UFC would be, I think, when they spoke to you, Conor McCarthy and Max Sally, who said they want to kind of build their way up and do it kind of the old school way, isn't it? And I'm not saying that if the UFC comes knocking and you get that opportunity, you almost be kind of foolish not to take it. That's the dream that all of these fighters have, So, but I do think that there is a conflict of interest there, and there has been for quite some time, not only in Cage Warriors and other promotions as well. There's probably shit like this happening over in LFA and other
Aries, Fernand Lopez. I don't think he's involved with them anymore, but Aries and Fernand Lopez, John Cavan had his own promote. It was only a couple of shows, 1 year on Fight Night or something. But you see it, it's everywhere. But the point, and you're right that it's.
I mean, in terms of devaluing your promotional title too, which
that's it.
I think that's it's not you don't want to be doing that for promotion. I don't like seeing it either. It's I always considered the Cage Warriors title very prestigious, and I still do to this day. But if this kind of trend stays happening, well, you're spot on, exactly what you said. It does devalue the title a lot, actually. Not
look, it's because you can't just pretend that it's not a thing. And I know, and to your point, this has been going on for well over a decade. It's for years. It was some people kind of being Graham Boylan's fighters get easier routes, and it's that has been the narrative that I hear it every fucking week. From various places, and that's been going on for years and years and years. But I think the balance of maintaining the best fighters fighting each other for the title was there, and I just think in the last couple of years, and it's not always because, and again, Omiel Brown versus Tugarev is a complete counterpoint to this. Solomon Simon versus Nik Bagley, a complete counterpoint to this. But it's not all the time now, and when this welterweight division staring us in the face, when there's so many amazing fighters, it's we have to see them again. We have to start seeing them against each other. If we're to take this division as a standalone promotion seriously, and if not, and if it's just we're going to keep them all away from each other and incrementally get them to the UFC, cool. But then we can't be taking the welterweight division seriously. And I hate saying it, but because I'm a big fan of the promotion, big fan of everyone who works at the promotion, but that's just a reality. I have to call it down the line, and we would be sticking the boot into PFL the exact same way. 100%. So yeah, look, let's see what happens. But I just think it's especially okay. Let's say Clancy goes in and wins here. You would assume Clancy then obviously going to be fighting, unless he's going to the UFC or unless Burlinson goes to the UFC, but then that's the obvious fight to make then. But then who do we see on 200? So let's say even you had Burlinson versus Clancy on 200, then out of the other fights, are we going to see the likes of an Anthony Orozco versus, let's say Leon Hill goes out and get a big finish? Are we going to see them fight each other or one of the other lads? We got to start getting clarity on this.
Yeah, 100%. Caoilte, I'll bring you in. Anything to add to this conversation?
No, I think Andy's kind of summed it up absolutely perfectly there. The way that division looks, I think it has that potential of the days of where we had Paul Hughes, Jordan Vucenic, Morgan Charrier, Cottrell, James Henton in there as well, where these guys are all just battling it out for the title, and it worked out pretty well. I know Jordan Vucenic is back in Cage Warriors. He went to the UFC. Morgan Charrier's in the UFC. Paul Hughes is now superstar in PFL. Why can't a similar type of thing be happening here, where the fights aren't for them it'll obviously impact their career for whoever loses, but the actual story behind it, the way you can build it, and what they can get out of it is huge. If you look at the scenario I've used there in Charrier, Hughes, and Vucenic, So yeah, that's the frustrating side for me, because I look at that and I kind of think, geez, where are those days gone where there's so many storylines going? It's just it's frustrating. But overall, Andy summed it up absolutely perfectly. And if it was PFL, we'd be absolutely kicking him in the bollocks there. So yeah, you need to call it down the line, and you've done that exceptionally there.
Yep, nice one. Moving on relatively quickly, a little bit of Oktagon news. Obviously, Will Fleury and Martin Buday has been made official for the heavyweight title on the 28th of December in Prague. What a fight that is. Brilliant fight. Obviously, we'll break that down. Hopefully, we'll get to speak to Will ahead of that fight as well. Dennis Frimpong takes on Gökhan Askew on November 22nd on Oktagon 76. That's a big fight for Dennis, and a chance to break in possibly to the top 5 of the division there. At the risk of going on too long here, lads, I think I'll just rattle through a couple of the upcoming actions that we do have. A big, massive fight for Gerard Burns against Muhammad Mokaev. We did speak to this a little bit in when we found out that this fight was announced. Obviously, a massive hurdle for Gerard Burns to get over here in Muhammad Mokaev, but I felt like a brilliant opportunity, a real big stage too. Will be the headline. Is it the headline fight? Yeah, headline fight.
I think it's the main event. Yeah,
main event. It's not. So yeah, I think it's cool.
Crazy. Kuheji, hometown fighter, is Hamza Kuheji is fighting. Okay. He's a Bahrain fighter. I think he's defending the featherweight title or something on the.
That's very bizarre, isn't it? Yeah, like you'll have like the world will be tuning in for Mokaev.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all to me. That's why I was I was going to say for the main event, and I had remembered that I'd seen the card, and I thought that they weren't on the top of the bill there. So yeah,
do you know what? Maybe people will tune in and then they'll stay for the next one. You never know.
That's what they could be. That's what they could be hoping for as well. But that fight takes place on Friday, November 7th, just 2 days away from now, 2 or 3 days away. Really good fight there as well. Obviously, very interested to see if Gerard Burns can be a monumental upset if he didn't get it done. If we're being real,
it's a David versus Goliath matchup.
Yeah, it's a fantastic opportunity. I'm glad that he's getting the chance to go in there because he wanted an opportunity like this. November 8th, Dylan Logan returns to SevereMMA in Finland. A lot of Irish fighters fighting in Finland lately. Good old MMA scene going on over there.
Strong MMA scene in Finland.
Strong one. Yeah, he takes on Miro Hoikkonen. November 15th, Cage Warriors 196. Obviously, we've talked to Solomon Simon. We have Kieran Brady on that card as well. Obviously, 4-0, looking to make it 5-0 against also undefeated Kadeem Perkins there. Looking forward to seeing Kieran fight. Obviously, tremendous performance and spoke with us.
I feel like he's always against undefeated fighters, is he?
Yeah, he's the undefeated killer. We'll have to call him if he goes out and gets the win as well. In Chaos FC 25 in the Everglades in Derry, we have a main event catchweight, Daniel Thompson versus Tartan Blood.
Wait, break that one down for a scene.
Yeah, I mean, Thompson hasn't fought in 8 years. He was 1-6 as an amateur, and Tartan Blood is relatively unknown. It's a strange one.
I was looking at it. Tartan Blood. Sorry, I'm speaking very much eating my phone or eating my microphone. I looked it up. He's like, you click it. It's like he's fighting out of Tartan Blood like fight team, but I think it's actually just his Instagram page. So I don't know if he is the fight team or what. But yeah, it's a fight.
Yeah. It is. That's it. I mean, on that, as the great Jeremy Sharkson would say, on that bombshell, we shall wrap up this episode of the Ould Triangle. Like I said, we had a lot of stuff to get through. We do appreciate your patience. Great to talk to Solomon Simon. Absolutely massive fight for him this weekend, along with Kieran Brady and lots of other Irish action that we will be talking about the next time that we are on for the Ould Triangle. I guess all is left for us to do for this episode is for Caoilte to see us out.
Gurmina Mokaev, agus Langafol.